everybody, and welcome. I'll go ahead and call this meeting to order on February 24th, 2026, and ask the city clerk to please call roll.
Commissioner Henderson?
Present.
Commissioner Smith?
Here.
Commissioner Thomas?
Present.
Commissioner Wilson?
Present.
Mayor Bray?
Here. So I would ask Commissioner Wilson, please, to do the invocation, and then we'll remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance afterwards.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, thank you on behalf of all of us who are gathered here for the many blessings that we have. Thank you for the ability to be involved in useful work. We come to you asking for your guidance and support as we begin this meeting. Please grant us wisdom and be with us as we make decisions on behalf of our city and our community and our citizens. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, first up, we have a presentation from Jonathan Perkins, Jr., and he's going to give us an update on the Tree Advisory Board, which we reformulated this last year, and of which Jonathan is the chairman.
All right.
Thanks for being here, Jonathan.
Well, thank you all for hosting me, even though I'm now required by ordinance to present an update to you. So I'm Jonathan Perkins. I am the chairman of Paducah Tree Advisory Board. One of my fellow board members, Bonnie Kovlitz, is here, and then Amy Clark is also our liaison, I guess, to the city is her title for that. But we're just here to update you on kind of what the tree board has been doing, what it's challenged to do, and what we would like to do in the near future. So, assuming you're able to hear this well. So, again, our board is made up of 6 members, including Amy Clark and Bonnie. We have a utility representative who is here, or excuse me, who is on our board from Paducah Power Service, and he is a great liaison for us to what happens in our town with respect to overhead utility pruning. So he's a good resource to have on there. Others are Jenny McCormick and Tyler Sanderson, who are citizen members of the board, and Tyler is a new addition this year, as well as Bonnie. According to our ordinance, this was one of those things that was updated and amended this year. We've been given basically 8 tasks. One of the most important and probably the biggest thing that puts me in front of you all today is that we are, as a board, challenged to promote urban forestry. So that being our entire ecosystem, for lack of better words, of the trees, any of the plant material, even technically you break it down to wildlife and things like that that are around us and throughout our community. But we predominantly think of trees when we think of our urban forest. So it's a very big and obvious sign of what we got. Looking at what we're doing and hope to do, it was pointed out to me that, really I need to think about your all's commission priorities. And so digging into that a little bit, there were 2 that really stood out that we really fit into, in my opinion. That would be the quality of life and the continuous improvement priorities. That being quality of life being with respect to trees and how they affect our communities, how they affect us both socially, emotionally, physically. And then also on the continuous improvement priority side, trees affect stormwater, which a lot of people don't think about. But if we didn't have the trees that we have, we'd have a lot more water running across our land, running in our sewer systems, overcharging our existing infrastructure. And so trees are one of those things that continue, as they get older and bigger, they actually increase in their value as a resource and as a form of infrastructure. So very important. 2026, we've kind of tried to establish a list of goals that we've never really thought about in the past. Usually we've kind of had some really informal thoughts on things that we might like to do. Some things are some of these goals are things that we have participated in the past that we'd like to continue to participate in. But there were 7 goals that we identified specifically for this, and it's in your handout too. But goal number 1, and as it relates to our commission priorities here, is not really recreating, but reinstating and creating new content for an informational newsletter that we've tried to put out. Pam Spencer has worked with us in the past. We did one newsletter or service announcement, if you will. I think it was in 2025. It may have been the end of 2024. But we'd like to look at doing more of those for the public on topics like, I've listed some examples that we'd like to explore, but things like responding to lightning damage. You know, these are common questions that people want to know things about. How should I take care of my tree? What type of tree should I plant and where? Things like that. So that's something that we're challenging ourselves to get out there in front of the community on a little more this year. Goal number 2 is related to the tree voucher program, which was instated last year that you were speaking on there. So we have been asked to advise, assist with those inspections and so on. And also we're finding as that develops and grows into something bigger that there are a lot of people that really care about their trees. I've told Amy I'd prompt her, but she said we've had 600 plus applications for the tree voucher program this year.
Imagine that.
That's incredible.
And only, 400, upper 400s maybe are applicable due to where they live or not, and some, things that disqualify them. But yeah, the amount of interest that is there, and this was just from residential properties, for those of you who don't know, that it was a lot of interest. And actually, I've heard from commercial properties that are like, are we ever going to do it for us? Can we not plant trees on our industrial and commercial properties? And I was like, yeah, that's an excellent idea, because most of those sites are obviously kind of barren.
Yeah.
And so stressing that in the future is going to be a great thing. So hopefully we'll be able to look at that and do that. I've also gotten interested volunteers from like some of our garden club membership. Even the urban forestry coordinator from the Kentucky Division of Forestry has volunteered to come and do some of our inspections if he's needed. So he just told me that last week, so that's positive. Goal number 3, and this relates to what Parks is doing primarily. This isn't the name of it, but I call it because I think it sounds cool. But they're doing a 100 Trees for 100 Years in Noble Park program, where they're going to plant, I guess, midsummer is kind of where you're shooting this upcoming summer. And they were going to plant 100 trees in honor of the 100th anniversary of Bob Noble Park. So obviously you all know it's our largest park. It's very, very tree-y. But it's also a park that needs new trees, because a lot of the trees are old. And I know we've had these conversations, a few of us, but the trees are old and we've had a lot die or get damaged. And so now we got to replenish. So this is a really good initiative that we hope to help with.
Do we have any idea, excuse me for interrupting,
No.
but do we have any idea how many trees are actually in Noble Park?
I think there was an inventory done with Mark Thompson probably 15, 20 years ago, but I
I've
don't
seen
know.
that. I think it was actually also done in relationship to the ice storm, because there was some,
Makes sense.
when that came through. But there's some documents somewhere that I've seen. We'll find that out.
But if
Well, I
Go
was
ahead.
just asking because I just wondered how many, 100 trees initially sounds like a lot, but I don't know if we have, 3,000 and in there. I just don't know what the number is, It might surprise us.
I
But
would take a ballpark and say, obviously you have trees of all different shapes and sizes and
Right.
ages, but I would say of the large mature trees that you see mostly throughout the center of the park, I don't know, I bet there's 500 plus, would you think, Amy? Again, ballparking.
Right.
Then you got all the other stuff that's grown up on its own in the last, say, 50
Right.
years.
Right.
So there's a lot, but a lot of those trees, like I said, are the same age or they're the same species. So hopefully we'll be able to kind of put a little mix in there and some diversity. So, and this, I think that's maybe even a starting point. Noble Park's a starting point for us doing this throughout the city. So, and I know that's been a mission for a couple of you. So that could be a great starting point, a good example for us to move forward with. Goal 4, and this is something that maybe some others have seen in communities around the state or other parts of the nation, but I'd really like to see us pursue this tree price tag concept. So literally, it's like it sounds. You're going and selecting what I'm calling high-value trees, whether they be important cultural trees like the state champion post oak at the courthouse or something like that, but trees that have significance to us. But literally putting a price tag on them that quantifies this is how much financial value this tree has to our community. So it could be anything from how much carbon it captures throughout the year, how much stormwater it cleans, how much energy savings there are with respect to heating and cooling your home, things like that. So there is a source called iTree that actually you can put some data into and it'll crunch numbers for you. We would then put them on a literal price tag and tie those to whichever trees we identify. And I mean, it screams, like, look at me if you got this big goofy tag hanging on a tree. But it brings attention to what we're trying to point out, that the trees have a value. So, and they're not just, just for looks, just for aesthetics. So, goal 5, I think this was one that probably can be done pretty shortly, at least at this first level. I think we'd be very interested in there being an accredited arboretum in Paducah. We have, I think, some small collections around the city of trees over the years, WKCTC's campus being one of those areas. But we have a lot of beautiful trees. We have a lot of diversity in our tree species in this town, and I think it's probably pretty feasible for us to look at even public properties right now and say, we can tackle making this meet the criteria for, in this case, a level 1 accreditation through the Morton Arboretum. And it's basically, we're picking, I think it's 25 different tree species, doing some labeling, providing access, saying that there's someone that's managing those trees, and then it puts it, I think, ultimately into a database with other arboretums or arboreta around the nation. So I just think that's kind of a cool, easy, low-hanging fruit thing we could look at this year, next year. So goal 6, this is something that we presently do. We have each year, I skipped the whole slide, I'm sorry, but I'll go back to that maybe. But each year we participate in the WKCTC's Earth Week celebration, which is now held at the Farmers Market. Some of you may have seen me there or seen our booth. Bonnie was there with me last year. Oh, hi, Jenny. There's one of our other board members. But that has been a great resource for us to be able to just sit down with people and they can come with any kind of silly questions they have, and related to trees or sometimes not related to trees. And sometimes, of course, as government officials, you get complaints, but usually people are pretty kind and just want to know more. So that gives us an opportunity to talk to them and spread information. We use these brochures that are shown in the photo there. We do currently use those brochures right now to leave with people at that event, or if I meet with somebody in person, I can say, here's how the industry says that you need to mulch a tree, or here's how you should be selecting good plant material or pests that might be common with trees, things like that. So we'd like to pursue, honestly, buying more of those to keep doing this as we move into the future. So that's a pretty simple little thing. We'd just like to continue it. Goal 7 is another simple one. At events like that, the WKCTC event, we'd like to just be able to have a little more representation visually as to who we are, because I think sometimes, as many of you know, I'm an arborist and I have a side business too, and people think that when I'm sitting out there that I'm representing just me, when I'm actually representing the tree board. So there's some confusion there, and I'd like, I think this could help, give us a more
You should do that on
clear
Monday
face.
morning.
Monday morning? What am I missing?
There's no reason to wait on that,
Right.
basically.
Oh, well, okay.
We won't vote on that one.
I mean, it's
City
all,
manager can
Said-
approve that without.
well, there we go. Well, I figured some of these, I mean, the brochures came out of planning's budget a few years ago, the last time, so. So I'm not above asking.
We can make that happen rather quickly.
Well, I'm not above asking, so I'm gonna ask. Can we have some money?
And you don't have to wait till Monday, ask Amy in the morning. You can do it tomorrow morning.
Sorry, this is the slide I forgot. I guess it flipped through too quickly earlier. In 2025, just pointing out kind of some of the things we did. We did participate in tree plantings at Noble Park, some new trees with Arbor Day that Parks Department, that the Parks Department hosts. And then, as I mentioned, the Earth Day celebration with WKCTC. The board itself does public tree reviews for trees on public property, so we'll get requests from Public Works Department, Parks, Engineering, whoever. Now it's all streamlined, I believe, through Parks, but they ask us to evaluate trees that are in our community, and our goal is to determine whether that tree should stay or go. Generally speaking, we try to give an educated opinion on that tree being able to stay, or how we can address that tree so it could stay. So we're not trying to be in the market for taking down trees, obviously, but we do have to consider safety, clearly. You all know that more than anybody. The voucher program, we assisted you all with that as a board. And then the Code of Ordinances, some of those changes, those were discussed with our board, and, so we were able to advise on that. And hopefully that particular type of conversation will continue to take place in the future, because, it needs to be a living document that we're always improving. And I think with the people that are in place right now, that will continue to improve, and we'll continue to get better on how we evaluate and view our community from a development standpoint. I think the last big thing that we do, and this really is heavily pushed through Parks and I think planning, is this year 2025, we celebrated our 34th consecutive year as a Tree City USA city. So that's a pretty big and longstanding commitment and accomplishment. So I think we'll continue to push that in the future, and I'm glad that we're able to be a part of that. So, but if you have any other questions for me, let me know, because that's all I've got for my update. I think I gave each one of you a document too that summed the same thing up. But
Questions or comments?
I have a comment. Just thank you and your board. Thank you, ladies.
and these are our meeting dates, so everybody's welcome to come, by the way.
Oh, excellent. For your hard work. I know this is something that people don't see, and when you plant a tree, you're not going to see an immediate impact from it. It's going to be 10, 20 years down the road, and so you have to be a visionary, and I appreciate you doing that and supporting the tree program, because that's really important for the beauty of this city. Trees are dying each year through old age, but also storms and things like that, and I think you walk by a lot of homes and you can see, kind of like a hole or a divot where a tree used to be a long time ago, and I don't think people think about replacing them.
Right.
And so I appreciate anything that you can do to raise that consciousness, because it really makes a neighborhood a lot more attractive. And
I'll even build on what you're saying. You're talking about a hole or divot in the yard. I can think of major trees in Paducah that have been removed over the last 10 years where it has made a major divot or a hole in the skyline. There's one by Paducah Middle School that I was just heartbroken to see come out a few years ago, because it was the biggest tree on that street, and it was a sad day because there is now a hole there. But that's me tree hugging.
Yeah, I think we're very blessed to have somebody as passionate as you are, who wants to lead the tree advisory committee. I'm very thankful for that. I think the commission really established this last year when we redid the ordinance that it's important to us. Mm-hmm. And, you and I have had some, several conversations about that. Yep. And so I appreciate very much your leadership. All the goals that you've established, I mean, they all sound, excellent. Getting a newsletter out with Pam's help somehow every so often, and, I think would be great, and would establish with people, in our community that we are serious about trees. I really, just speaking personally, before I got elected the first time, I really didn't think about it that much, and then once you have the responsibility of the city, it dawns on you
Right.
that, we have all these trees out there and that we're really responsible, for all of them in public spots, but also we have a responsibility to lead in the way that, that we address the issue. And so, and I want to talk a little bit about money, and not that you need to spend a lot of money, but
Right.
but one of the things I run into as mayor is that, we point to all these boards, and it's like there's this culture of, well, the city's not going to give us any money to do the work that we appoint you to the boards to do. And obviously we have to take into consideration any request for money,
Right.
that a board wants to utilize, but really, you just need to ask.
Yeah.
You
And
need to, put together a little
Right.
budget of how, you want to spend the money, but
Right.
going out and buying a tablecloth for a farmer's market would be at the top of the list, I would think.
Good.
And
We've always managed in the years past. I mean, I know prior to me being here that, some of these things were not priorities for the tree board. So some of
Right.
that has changed. So I'm glad to hear, I appreciate hearing that from you. So
just don't have too much of your dad in you, I mean, as far as, pinching pennies.
he's a saver. I gotta spend. No.
So, anyway, I'm just super appreciative of all the work that you're doing, and I'm just tickled to death at the success we've had with the, 400 people that, the tree program that we introduced. Commissioner Smith and I worked on that together, and it's been well accepted, and so I think we ought to build upon that and do more in the future. We gotta get those trees planted first, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the hard part.
Yeah. So, anybody else?
And I did have one question with the planting the 100 trees initiative. And you may have mentioned it, but I may have missed it. But I remember last year somebody had brought up about like food trees, apple trees, fruit trees, and things like that. Has that been looked into as a possibility?
I don't know with respect to the 100 trees, if that's been something in there. I would imagine I might be speaking out of turn here with respect to Amy's work on that. But I think probably what we're looking at with the 100 trees is more probably shade trees, canopy trees. The fruit tree and public or urban farming sort of conversation. I think I've had that discussion with, I think, both of you maybe, or you, and then you've disseminated information. But I think there is definitely a time and a place. I think this is my personal opinion, what I will always fall back on is who's going to take care of those trees. And so while I agree that urban foraging and things like that is a great thing to have, I love fruit trees, but I know that fruit trees sound great until we get into actually doing them. And then I'm thinking of a particular apple tree project in Paducah that just sounded great, and then it's no longer in existence. And so it was a great idea, and there was a lot of support behind it, but, it's getting people, and then maybe this is, I don't want to put this on the tree board, but getting people energized and getting them to want to participate in those programs, I think is the next big step. So if they can be integrated into smaller projects, I think that would be perfect. But to just put them in a tree, like in a planting strip or right away, and expecting people to take care of them, again, it's my opinion, but I think that people won't stand behind it like we want them to. We'll be stuck with a lot of apples riding on the tree.
Gotcha.
Jenny and Bonnie, thank you for being here tonight, and also thank you for your work on the tree board. We appreciate it. Commission appreciates it very much.
All right.
Okay, anything else?
No, you all have my contact if you need me.
Thank you.
Thank you,
All
John.
right. Appreciate you all.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to move on to the consent agenda. Items on the consent agenda are considered to be routine by the Board of Commissioners and will be enacted by one motion and one vote. There'll be no separate discussion on these items unless one of our board members requests, in which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately. I'll ask the city clerk to read those items unless somebody has one that they want to pull off. Okay?
Approve minutes for the February 10th, 2026 Board of Commissioners meeting. Receive and file documents, personnel actions, a municipal order authorizing the application for and acceptance of a fiscal year 2027 highway safety grant in the amount of $25,000 through the Kentucky Office of Highway Safety for overtime pay for officers, and authorizing the mayor to execute all documents related to same. A municipal order authorizing and directing the city manager to initiate a request for proposals for a historic structure report for Hotel Metropolitan. A municipal order authorizing the city manager to execute a contract with Tyler Technologies in the amount of $44,650 for the upgrade of Tyler Public Safety servers. A municipal order approving an upper story residential grant in the amount of $45,000 for the property located at 620 Broadway. A municipal order adopting contract modification number 1 to the contract with Reliable Electric, LLC, for the Dolly McNutt Plaza project to increase the price of the contract by $1,463 for a total contract price of $60,443, and authorizing the mayor to execute the contract modification and all other documents related to same. A municipal order authorizing the mayor to execute a declaration of trust and trust participation agreement with the Kentucky League of Cities Insurance Services for the Workers' Compensation Trust. A municipal order authorizing the application and acceptance of a Kentucky Heritage Council certified local government grant in the amount of $30,000, authorizing the acceptance of any and all grant funds, and authorizing the mayor to execute all documents related to same.
So move.
Second?
Call roll.
Commissioner Henderson?
Aye.
Commissioner Smith?
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Bray?
Aye. We have two ordinances to adopt tonight. The first one is the repeal and replacement of a code of ordinances related to rental occupancy. And I'll ask the city clerk to read that one, please.
A proposed motion that the Board of Commissioners adopt an ordinance entitled, an ordinance repealing and replacing Chapter 42 of the Code of Ordinances relating to rental occupancy permits and inspections. This ordinance is summarized as follows. This ordinance repeals and replaces Chapter 42 of the Paducah Code of Ordinances related to registration, permitting, and inspections of rental dwelling units. Rental dwelling units consisting of 1 and 2 family units are subject to enforcement and shall be registered with the Fire Prevention Office by July 1 of each year. Failure to register shall result in a $100 fine per unit. A moratorium allows units occupied before March 1, 2026 to register without fine by January 1, 2027. New rental units must be registered within 30 days of availability. Landlords must apply annually for rental occupancy permits by July 1, providing detailed contact information for owners, agents, and responsible persons, along with property addresses for units. The annual permitting and inspection fee shall be $50 per unit, not to exceed $500 for total for all units owned by a single property owner. Permits shall be valid for 1 fiscal year. Standards for issuance shall include substantial code compliance, possession of business license, payment of all applicable city taxes, fees, and liens. Procedures are set forth whereby inspection shall occur annually with discretionary authorization for self-attestation in lieu of on-site inspections. Inspections shall verify compliance with building, electrical, fire, and property maintenance codes. Procedures for follow-up inspections and associated fines are set forth. Inspection policies prioritize geographic distribution, tax delinquency, landlord compliance history, and police reports of criminal activity. Procedures are set forth for violation of code, triggering written notices and a correction period, as well as for denial or suspension of notices, appeal rights, requirements for vacating tenants, and public posting on the premises. Criminal and nuisance violations triggering revocation of rental dwelling unit permits are set forth, as well as procedures for notification to property owners and tenants, and requirements for eviction. The ordinance provides suspensions, revocations, or denials shall be appealed within 5 days to the deputy chief or battalion chief of fire prevention, and if upheld, further appeal may be made to the Code Enforcement Board. Appeals related to state fire code matters are held in abeyance pending final decision by the local appeals board pursuant to KRS Chapter 227.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, so This rental ordinance, we put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into this. So we introduced it. We got feedback. I want to thank Deputy Chief Greg Cherry for all the work that he did. He and I went out and met with a group of landlords. The meeting ended up going well, but there was definitely, it was a bit tense when we first started off because they didn't really, I don't think the landlords really thought that we would listen to them, but we did. And Greg took a lot of notes. We came back. We did a lot of research with other towns, put a lot of effort into this, and we came up with this ordinance. And when we introduced it 2 weeks ago, I actually got messages from two of the landlords thanking me and us, for listening to them and making some changes. And on the operational side, I know that Greg and his team are in the process of hiring somebody, and they got, under April's leadership, I know they have some plans on how they're going to divide the city up. That'll make us more efficient. And so I'm just, the proof's in the pudding. We've got to implement it and implement it correctly, but I'm just tickled at the way it's gone so far. And really, at the end of the day, we just want to make rental properties safe for our people out there. We're not, there's no price controls, rent controls. The relationship between a landlord, a lessor and a lessee is between them. We just want to make sure people have safe places, to live. And I think that, that says something about the quality of our city, and that's really what we're after. So, all right, that's my spiel. That's my soapbox. Any comments from anybody?
No.
Okay, I'll ask the city clerk, please call roll.
Commissioner Henderson?
Aye.
Commissioner Smith?
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Bray?
Aye. Okay, and we have a second ordinance to adopt. We read this a couple of weeks ago. It's a mid-year budget amendment. Audra actually asked me today, do you think that there's going to be any really big, deep questions about it? And I said, I don't think so. So we'll ask the city clerk to please read it.
A proposed motion that the Board of Commissioners adopt an ordinance entitled, an ordinance amending ordinance number 2025-06-8847, entitled an ordinance adopting the City of Paducah, Kentucky annual operating budget for the fiscal year July 1, 2025 through June 30, 2026, by estimating revenues and resources and appropriating funds for the operation of city government. This ordinance is summarized as follows. This ordinance amends the annual budget for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2025 and ending June 30, 2026, as adopted by ordinance number 2025-06-8847 by the following reappropriations. Increase revenue and expenditures for the Capital Projects Fund by $425,337 and $675,337 respectively. Increase expenditures for the Radio Fund by $211,000. Increase revenue and expenditures for the Investment Fund by $100,000. Increase revenue and expenditures for the Grant Fund by $252,950 and $2,950 respectively. Increase revenue and expenditures for the Health Insurance Fund by $500,100. Increase revenue and expenditures for the Insurance Fund by $88,600.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions, comments? I'd ask the city clerk to please call roll.
Commissioner Henderson?
Aye.
Commissioner Smith?
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Bray?
Aye. Okay, we have two ordinances to introduce. And so I'll just invite, do you want to read it first? Okay, I'll let the city clerk read it, and then we'll invite Jeff up to tell us all about it.
A proposed motion that the Board of Commissioners introduce an ordinance entitled, an ordinance amending the 911 parcel fee ordinance. This ordinance is summarized as follows. The proposed amendment revises the city's existing 911 parcel fee ordinance in order to clarify applicability, refine property classifications, formalize the appeals process, and update administrative provisions to ensure fairness, consistency, and long-term stability in the funding of the joint city-county emergency 911 services. This amendment clarifies fee applicability by shifting the assessment standard from parcels that are occupied to parcels that are occupiable, thereby ensuring that all parcels capable of occupancy are assessed consistently. The amendment expressly includes residential storage structures and government public housing units within the scope of accessible residential units. The amendment refines property classifications by reclassifying medical facilities as commercial units, ensuring assessments are commensurate with similarly sized commercial properties. The amendment refines and clarifies the definitions and classifications applicable to the residential, commercial, public use, and mixed-use parcels, and more specifically delineates residential storage structures, medical facilities, and governmental public housing units to ensure consistent and accurate application of the ordinance. Further, it provides that mixed-use parcels shall be assessed at the highest applicable rate based on combined square footage. This amendment adopts formal hearing rules and procedures for the Paducah-McCracken County 911 Parcel Fee Appeals Board and provides a defined right of appeal from a final order of the Appeals Board to the McCracken County District Court within 30 days. This amendment updates certain administrative provisions by removing the expired first-year residential rental rebate language and clarifying annual parcel fee adjustments shall be rounded to the nearest dollar.
So moved.
Second.
Jeff? Jeff is chairman of the 911 Administrative Board, and so he's been working with 911, these appeals and not necessarily the appeals, but the,
Not the appeal side, but,
Operations.
I mean, I think at the end of the day, the whole.
the result of the
The
appeals.
result of it, and while we're doing this, is try to get the appeals down to zero, you
Right.
know, so that's, all of these changes in the ordinance also have been approved by your county attorney and your city attorney, so, if there's any questions, I'll try to answer them. Chief Laird's here, if I can't answer them, maybe he can. I don't think we'd want to bore you. I'm sure in your packet, you've received, all the changes, so. Yes, sir.
I'd just like to say thank you for your service. I know this is not an easy board to be on, very detailed, and
It is, but.
thank you, yeah.
I've enjoyed it, and hats off to these guys. They've made it easy. Chief Laird and Ariana Kitty and the people supporting it have done a great job, so they've made my job a lot easier.
Do you have an overview of?
Sure.
Of, a couple of the changes that are most prominent?
As Lindsay read and as the chairman has stated, it's, there's some clarifying language in here that's not really changing. We're not adding any new fees.
No.
We're not changing any fees from the standard of, so high overview is that we're clarifying in a couple instances that a public housing unit, instead of just 35, 40, 600, whatever number of units, doesn't get charged $135 governmental fee.
And I think that was probably the biggest complaint coming from the public, which we didn't realize it till we were halfway into it the first year. So that's straightened out. So I think you won't hear a lot of rumbling now.
And, the other thing the board went through, and again, credit to the board, they've been, taking this on. I know that, our dearly departed friend, Steve Doolittle, and I met with this board back in August or September, late summer, then started to talking about that. And as the chairman mentioned, the county was at the table as well, as Kate Foster has been representing at the appeals process for the county side, the county attorney there, and on our representation, Ms. Blankenship. And so have worked at it. And one of the things that also came up besides the housing, the public housing units, was that hospitals were classified as a nonprofit. So they got the one nonprofit rate for a unit of that has one of the highest calls to 911 calls. And so that was reclassified. They looked at it, they discussed it, had good dialogue, at least in the meetings that I was in about it, open and honest, and what does that mean? And the recommendation that they made came out of it, and I fully support it, is that they should be classified as a commercial based on their square footage. And then that's only fair. I mean, if we're talking about a big box store that, based on the square footage, that gets a lot of calls, hospitals get a lot more typically on that for 911. So those are two of the big higher overarching. We did clarify just a little bit of the language. There has been a consumer price indexing language that was in the original ordinance. And then we clarified that that is rounded to the next whole dollar,
Right.
which could be up or down, based on it. So if it is at 49 cents if the thing, it goes down to the lowest dollar. If it's at 51, it goes up to the highest. And so that, for when we send out the billings and stuff, that helps clarify on that. So I think those were the bigger, higher-arching ones on it. In relationship to the 911 fee, I think also high level that through the 911 Appeals Board, they learned some things having gone through one and a half sessions, because I don't think we're through the second full session of appeals, are we yet?
We finished them all.
Finished? Okay.
Just
So for
finished,
two,
yeah.
so yeah, so, and to that point, we didn't have a lot of appeals. I mean, the first year, Lindsay, we had between both city and the county, less than 50, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was like 25, I think, the first year.
Yeah.
What's
And
it
then-
down to this time? Was down to less than 20, 16 or something
Less
like?
than 10.
10.
Less than 10, yeah.
But in that, they learned that the hearing rules and some clarifications on that they brought forward that would define, and so there's even less. And so as Chairman said, the goal to get to 0 appeals, is an admirable goal, and I think the recommendations that they have made about that will continue to help us get there. So overall, staff has listened to our community partners that are filling these roles in advisory on the boards, and the county attorney and our representation from legal, Ms. Blankenship, has put together this recommendation.
Any other questions?
Not really. I mean, I know that our county partners are, considering it as well. But most of the changes that you've outlined tonight really affect, folks,
It's all in one, so
You
you
know.
put a lot of pressure on the mayor, so they'll have to come through.
yeah, well, I mean, I've heard some things, from people about the fee and whatnot, but we've really had a successful implementation, of this whole process. And I would also remind everybody that the new system, that we've been working so diligently to put in new towers, the whole thing, I don't want to throw a date out there, but late spring, early summer, we will be, fully operational. I fully expect that. so.
At the end of the day, if you need the 911 services, that $45 fee or $35, whatever it is, I mean, it doesn't matter. So
Yeah.
you need it, you need it.
So thank you so much for being here, Jeff, and thank you for your
Good
leadership.
evening.
Thank you.
Okay, and we have a second ordinance to introduce, which is a telecommunications franchise agreement, and I'll let City Clerk read it, and then I guess she and Michelle will cover it.
A proposed motion, the Board of Commissioners introduce an ordinance entitled, an ordinance granting a non-exclusive franchise for a term of 10 years for a telecommunications system within the confines of the City of Paducah, Kentucky, to Lumos Fiber of Kentucky LLC pursuant to the terms and provisions of Chapter 108 Telecommunications of the Code of Ordinances, and approving and authorizing the mayor to execute the franchise agreement and all other documents related to same. This ordinance is summarized as follows. This ordinance accepts Lumos Fiber's bid and grants a non-exclusive 10-year telecommunications franchise in accordance with Chapter 108 of the Code of Ordinances, authorizing Lumos to construct, operate, and maintain telecommunications facilities within the public rights-of-way, subject to the city's regulatory standards, fees, and oversight requirements.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Lindsay?
Yes, so as you all know, we have a telecommunications ordinance that establishes the framework for franchisees to come in and provide telecommunications fiber and services here in Paducah. Federal telecommunication law allows us to require these franchise agreements and allows us to require fair compensation and protect our right-of-ways through this method. So in accordance with our ordinance, we issued a request for bids in October, and Lumos Fiber of Kentucky, you may also know, you may hear it referred to as T-Mobile, provided a response to our request for bids. We spent some time talking with them, going over that information with staff and with legal, and we have, we recommend that the city enter into the non-exclusive 10-year telecommunications franchise with them. Their bid has complied with all of our requirements of our ordinance. With that, tonight we have with us Grace Simrall. She's the Director of Market Development, and George Kemp, he's the Director of Construction Relations with Lumos, and they can tell you more about their specific build-out and any questions that you have about their organization, if you have questions about that.
Okay, so why don't you tell us about the build-out?
Certainly. So thank you, Mayor, Commissioners, City staff, for letting us come and speak to you tonight. My name is Grace Simrall. As City Clerk Parrish said, I'm the Director of Market Development. Just a little bit about Lumos. While we might be new to the market, we are not a new company. It was formed when two mom-and-pop telephone companies, one based in Virginia, the other based in North Carolina, each over 100 years old, merged together for the purpose of expanding fiber service. Now, they have been building fiber since 2007, so decades of experience building fiber to the home. Why do we care about fiber? Because it is the internet of the future. I think a lot of people took it for granted until COVID-19 happened, and suddenly we were all in our homes trying to do work, school, all at the same time, and that's when you discovered things like, for example, upload speeds really matter. Affordability really matters. And so building the infrastructure, the fiber internet for the future is something that Lumos is really passionate about. Now, in the City of Paducah, we intend to build out a significant portion of the city. If you'll reference the franchise application, we include high-level maps. Now, we take a lot of steps that go above and beyond typical telecommunications companies. So, when we come into a market, we obtain a franchise agreement, but then we drive a LiDAR car throughout the city to map all of the rights of way, all of the infrastructure in the rights of way, and that's what we use to do our engineering. We make sure that we're not relying on out-of-date GIS systems. So often you'll discover, wait a second, there's a curb now where it wasn't before, or there's a tree. We want to make sure that we have the most current information about the rights of way for us to engineer. I want to be very complimentary to the city staff. Both City Clerk Parrish as well as the City Engineer's Office have been incredibly helpful to us, helping us understand your processes. I hear a lot, why Paducah? And I just want to say, first, why not Paducah, number one? Number two, it really is the sweet spot of what Lumos is looking for. The ideal markets for us have this combination of density, lack of fiber in large portions of the community, and a government that is not difficult to do business with. And in Paducah, we find all three of those things in combination. Now, some other benefits, besides the fact that now you're going to get ultra-fast speeds that are completely symmetric. When a new provider comes in, there is price competition. Marketing always tells me not to just, it's always changing and they always want to be more competitive. But in existing markets today, you can get 2 gigs symmetric for $70 a month. And that's oftentimes less than what people are paying now in new markets for slower speeds. So you get faster service, lower prices. Let's talk about customer service. It's something we pride ourselves in. It's part of why I was really passionate about joining Lumos Fiber. We take pride in making sure that we have exceptional customer service. We measure ourselves using a Net Promoter Score, NPS score, and ours are in the 80s, to give you a sense. Now, typical telecommunications providers are happy if they're in the single digits. That again speaks to the level of customer service that we take pride in the company. Now, just another benefit is that property values go up. When people see that there is a fiber provider to the home, nationally, we see a 12% increase in home prices with having that access. So I'm going to stop for a second, and I know I've been talking for a while. I'm sure you have lots of questions.
Yeah.
Yes,
I have
Commissioner
questions.
Smith.
There's several fiber providers in the city right now, and it has become, all of a sudden, I don't know how many we have, 4, 5? Do you know?
We have 2 telecommunications franchisees. We have one additional interested, and then 2 cable franchisees right now.
Okay, so that's 4 fiber or 2 fiber, you're saying?
2 fiber in right now, plus Lumos,
Okay.
and one other that's interested as well.
Okay, so there's Lumos, has an AT&T also run fiber?
AT&T has,
And Paducah Power's running it? The question I've got is, just seems like every one of their brothers running fiber now, and it's, from a view, it's really kind of a blight. There's all these wires being strung on the telephone. It's kind of like, you see a picture of how it used to be like in 1920, where all these telephone poles were just loaded with these wires. I won't say it's that bad, but there's just a lot of disruption that occurs, and the view. I guess I'm questioning, how do you all, it's already a competitive market, how can another company come in and make money at it when the pie's getting smaller with all these new, and then, of course, also it's, we've got, it's just ugly, the fiber that's being run with the big black kind of barrels that are hanging from the telephone poles. So I'm just a little concerned that we've got plenty of options, and I don't know, I know you guys are working off a profit motive, and I think that's absolutely the way it should be, but I'm just curious how that works.
Yes, of course. So it is 100% privately funded. We're not asking for any public funds. Number 2, something very special about us, most of our construction is underground. We have found in plenty of markets that make-ready can take a very long time. Poles are frequently overloaded. And underground utilities are just more resilient, right? So you're not worrying about a squirrel chew, you're not worrying about ice or snowstorms, or the random car that hits a utility pole. Yes, it will require underground construction, but once it's in the ground, again, this is technology for the future. We're looking at fiber that's been built for 30 years that really doesn't have to have any maintenance done to it. You increase speeds by swapping out the laser optics on the ends. So we're willing to make that kind of investment. We think that, again, we have a very attractive product for the market.
How do you do it so that it's the least disruptive? There's another vendor that's done the same thing underground, and there's just like cones everywhere, yards torn up, I mean, like for a long time. So how do you do it so it's least disruptive for people's yards getting torn up? If a yard gets torn up, how quickly does it get repaired and all that? Are you doing that all over the city, and then you do the install all over the city and tear everything up all at once, or are you doing it in zones? You know what I'm saying?
No, I sure do.
I'm sure you've heard this.
I have. Let me invite my colleague, George Kemp, up to speak to this. We have a strategy around this.
George.
I'd be happy to answer it, but I mean, come on, George, you want to answer some questions.
No, that's no problem.
Yeah, come on,
And it's a
George.
really good question that you asked. There are 2 things that I actually say that Lumos does totally different than any other telecommunications company out there doing fiber. One is communications, because first of all, we hear a lot of complaints from other telecoms that, first of all, the residents didn't even know this fiber company was coming. What are they doing? What's this construction happening in our yard? We went over with your city folks numerous ways that before we even show up on the scene, how we communicate with your residents to let them know we're coming, and numerous ways that we communicate with the city on a daily basis to let them know where we are and what we're doing. Number 2, I say, is about restoration, which is the question that you brought up. Restoration is one that we pride ourselves on. I hate it when I go into a community and we've already come in behind another fiber provider. I'm glad that I don't know who else has been here before us, so I'm not actually slamming anybody, but in most neighborhoods that we go into, we hear the complaint of, hey, we've already had a fiber provider come through here. Our residents get totally upset because they came through and they trashed the area and they didn't clean it up, and now they're asking the city, who's going to pay for all this restoration? And I'm saying, I really apologize for that, even though it wasn't us.
Yeah.
But we're totally different, and the way I can promise it to you is the fact that we totally get it. That we realize if we don't take care of your residents when we're coming through to do construction and clean up afterwards in a timely fashion, they're not going to want our service, especially when you've got some other providers that are in the area. And to also let you know, most of those other providers are cherry picking. They come through and they say, that neighborhood right there, that's a new neighborhood. We want to actually go after those guys. And they skip all these other neighborhoods. We don't do that. We're making sure that we provide to all of those homes that actually need this as well. They're not being cherry picked by other groups. So is there a reason? Yes, we're going to be going to neighborhoods that nobody else ever wants to go to, because we know that they need the fiber infrastructure as well. But the restoration process, I always tell people when I give out my business card, you can have this, because the buck always stops with me, and if something doesn't get done, you can guarantee I'll take care of it. But I'd rather give you this other card that I actually gave out to some of your city folks today. The card on it is actually one that actually has a call center on it. It has the telephone number, email address, all of that. We have that published on the letter that we give out 90 days before we come to residents. We publish it on the door hangers that we put out, on the yard darts that are out there, on the A-frame boards that are available. All of that information is continually out there for residents and for you all to be able to call or email us and let us know you have a question or a concern. It goes into a ticketing system, which is required by us, and I think it's like 98, 99% of our requests are actually responded to within a 24-hour period. Usually it's a lot quicker than that, but within 24 hours, we've got to respond to it, and then in a timely manner, we've got to actually get it taken care of. And we make sure that it's taken care of as we go. We don't wait until the whole entire city's done. We also highly recommend, this is probably not good for a construction person to do this, but we highly recommend that your city, that when we are actually closing out a permit, let's actually go and take a look and make sure that it's done to the liking of what you guys want. If not, we want to take care of it. We also have a bond that we are required to actually establish. And I tell everyone, we don't want you to actually have to take from that bond. My whole goal is, we want to respond, we want to take care of your folks, and you'd be like, well, hey, that was awesome. We never even had to touch that bond because they were here and they took care of it in a timely fashion. So just to let you know, communications and restoration are the two top things that we know we got to take care of, because we want your residents to be excited about us. But it is construction, so there will be cones, there will be dirt, but it will be taken care of at the end of the, well, it will be taken, I was going to say at the end of the day, but at the end of the construction in that little neighborhood, it'll be taken care of.
Okay, thank you.
So, a couple questions. You mentioned permitting when you get permitted. So, you're not suggesting you go through the city and before you get out of a certain neighborhood, you ask us to come in and make sure everything's okay. I mean, what are you really saying there?
So what I'm saying is that when we do permits and we go through a city and we take care of the areas, if there's anything you guys have heard of, if there's any complaints with residents, anything that's been filed, we want to make sure that we're taking care of those. And we can actually respond and we can share with you guys all of our statistics on how your residents how we're responding to your residents and to city complaints. And if you've heard, hey, wait a second, this area you said you've completed, we've got these two people right here who are still complaining. We need to make sure that we take care of those. You guys need to hang those over our head. And I'm willing to say that because we want to take care of your folks. We do know that there are those folks that you guys know in your neighborhoods who complain about everything and you can never make them happy. Totally understand that, and hopefully you'll work with us on those. But for the majority, they're out there and they have real complaints, and we want to make sure we take care of every one of those for you.
And we were hoping maybe you could put in some new sidewalks for us.
Now, so that's one thing that we do. We do videos and photos ahead of time because we know some of the guys who actually say the crack that was there 3 years ago, you actually made. So, yeah.
So I got a couple more questions. So Commissioner Smith brought up the issue about poles, and you say, is 100% of your lines going in the ground?
It won't be 100, but 80% underground. 20% are difficult to cross areas. So things like railroads and highways, those sorts of areas. Well, if there's particularly hard rock, we might need to use aerial, but we are 80% plus underground.
Okay.
And she says 80%, but I have yet to see it. Yeah, it's really, really small percentage that goes aerial. It'll be like I drove by one area today where to be able to get across a certain area, we're going to have to do a couple poles, just jump over, get across it, and come back down. But yeah, it's rare.
So will you be on site? I mean,
I'm not.
You're in North Carolina?
Yeah, I'm in North Carolina.
However, we have employees who will be on site every day.
Yes.
So there is someone local that we can strangle.
Yes. And that is different than your other telecoms too, because if you guys know, most of your other telecoms out there, when they build out a fiber network, they actually tell a prime contractor, you build it out, I
Right.
don't want to know anything about it when you
That's
get
exactly
done.
right.
And then when you guys are trying to actually get him to do something, he doesn't care, because he's
Right.
gone
He's
in a
done.
few days.
Right.
And then you try to call the number that you have for that telecom, and it's like, okay, you gotta dial, or you gotta push this button, number 4 first to reach this department and the other one, and you never get to anyone, and you get frustrated. We've got a construction manager who will be here on site, and 2 or 3 construction engineers who will be here as well. So you have our folks.
Yes,
in
Lumos fiber employees.
In addition to the prime contractor who's here.
Okay, so you will have a prime contractor, you'll have managers
We'll have a
working
couple of
with the
prime
prime
contractors.
contractors.
Yep.
Okay.
2 different companies. So you'll use a couple of contractors in Paducah,
Correct.
okay? And they'll be working in separate parts of the city, is that?
Our expectation is that they'll start at the same hub and then branch out and go in opposite directions.
Yeah.
All right, my final question really has to do with, you talked about going into areas that other companies weren't going into. I mean, so what percentage of the city are you going to cover?
Ooh, I don't have the drawing or map, but do you?
I provided the map. I have to admit, I don't know what the percentage represents. I can get that answer for you. It's a significant portion of the city. This is what, so let me clarify. There's what we internally call phase 1 and what we called phase 1 with the city. So I think, Commissioner Smith, you asked about our strategy. We like to build, and it's all in the franchise application, according to what we call fiber distribution hubs, FDHs. These are groupings of homes, about 500 homes at a time. We might have a few going at the same time, but that's the strategy. We're not tearing up the whole city. We really want to work with you all to make sure that we're not disrupting it at that kind of scale. So that's the fiber distribution hubs. Goodness, now I've lost my train of thought. I know there was a point to this.
Talking
To
about,
the city.
Oh, and so I know that phase 1, our internal parlance is, again, the map that we gave you. I would not be surprised if later we decide strategically to build out the rest of the city. We've done that in other markets where we begin with the areas that don't have fiber, and then we turn around and we fill in the rest of the city. So our phase 1 will take, we estimate, 3 years to do. Again, building out those portions, but we will.
Yeah, I'm most interested, or, as you build out, I'm interested in some of perhaps our underserved parts of the city, and I don't know what the map looks like, in terms of,
Are you okay with me sharing kind
Of
of general
course,
information?
yes.
So, basically, their kind of phase 1 looks like, where Heartland Church is at, and then moving down toward, the Grove area, and then out toward the mall and toward Lone Oak. So that's kind of the division of their first phase. So, that's different than what we've kind of seen from other
not
providers.
necessarily
So that kind of means
underserved.
that, you mentioned the underserved, so that kind of means it's gonna be a minute before underserved are served. Is that right? Would that be fair to say?
Don't know, where are the underserved? I mean, I would love to know that and to be able to take it to our folks.
well, you're starting in a more affluent area of the city. There's no question about that. So, and what I haven't really been able to, be updated on is where some of the other companies have actually laid
Absolutely.
cable, and
Yeah.
so that would be something, a takeaway for
Our
us.
other
to-
more recent companies have been more focused on the downtown area, midtown area, and then going into Southside with, I think, a larger picture, longer scale. So this kind of is a little bit different than the other providers that we've had in so far.
And I would think if we have this again, that's something that we need to look at to see exactly where they begin to start out and where they end up.
We could probably pull the maps out of their applications.
Yeah, and I think we should just,
Decent
at some point now, get an update on where everybody is. I mean, we've
I agree.
had people coming, and I'm still a little curious about, the Paducah market, why Paducah? You said why not, but really, the burning question for me is, is, I mean, and we do have a lot of growth going on, so, you know, that's a good thing. But, you know, I'm just, you know, it's interesting, you know, competition, I believe in competition, but we got a lot of it right here, so, hopefully that'll be good for people who need faster service at cheaper prices.
Absolutely.
But we do need to think about some of the areas of the city. We need to gauge where people are going and where they are and where some of our fiber has been laid and what services are available in certain parts of the city. So.
I think that's fair. I think that's important.
I agree.
If
Are
I
you
could-
open to input on phase 2?
Absolutely.
If you guys will share.
No, really.
If we can see the areas where you guys are really concerned about, I'll take those back today. I mean, as soon as you guys give us the information where you really like for us to consider, I'll take it back for consideration now.
Well, give us a little time to put all that together, but we will absolutely communicate with you.
Thank
about
you.
that.
Of course.
You said you'd be open to some thoughts for phase 2. Is it too late to receive some thoughts even for phase 1?
Possibly. We could possibly expand phase 1.
Now, let me make 2 comments, if you all will allow me. The first is that one other thing that sets apart from other providers is that we made strategic decisions about where we start based on where we can, what we call get the light. So we don't want to have to build out something and have people wait years and years to get service. We strategically made decisions about building where we can connect to the greater World Wide Web and provide service to residents quickly. So our own goal is that if we build in the rights of way in front of your house, within 60 days, you should be able to sign up for service. You're not waiting 3 or 4 years for that. So that does influence our decision, number one. And then I suppose the other thing is to just, I wanted to clarify this T-Mobile fiber piece, because I think sometimes people get confused. We are still Lumos Fiber. Lumos Fiber is the one doing the construction. Lumos Fiber is the one who owns the infrastructure. T-Mobile is in a joint venture with Lumos Fiber, but it's still very much our infrastructure. And so there might be opportunities to look at cellular opportunities thanks to this joint venture that we could also discuss.
Okay. Well, I just think, I think the takeaway for me is we've had several, you know, over the last couple of years, several companies in here starting to lay fiber, and we just need to get an update where everybody is and kind of what's going on, you know, at some point in time, you know, and then we need to think about, you know, certain parts of the city, you know, where we need service, so. Okay, thank you very much. Well done.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. You took the hot seat very well. Commissioner Smith's our plant.
He's our tree, not a plant, right?
I do the wet work.
It's his role.
Okay, City Manager, any comments?
Mayor, Commission, the one comment I have tonight is do want to recognize, and we've announced this publicly earlier today, but Taylor Morshing, our Assistant Director for our Recreation, was recognized for his work with the Tennessee River Line and received the Extra Mile Award. So a great representation for our community and hard work that he's put in on that committee, and that was recognized through the Tennessee River Line. So we want to say congratulations to him.
Yes, congratulations to Taylor. Commissioners?
I just have one comment. You know, I've been with through my job today, I've been working with all the West Kentucky educational institutions, and, you know, they're gearing up for the new industry that's coming here because it's a big initiative because everyone needs labor, and we really need trained labor in every one of our institutions, and that's UK Engineering, Murray State, WKCTC, both the city schools and county schools are working together to create certifications for workers, you know, people that may not want to go to college, but they also have a good way to earn a living, and the schools are really working hard on that. And I just think we can be very proud of our educational system that we have in this community, because I think we're going to see a lot of great things come out of it.
Great comment. Thank you. Did you
I
have
just
anything?
wanted to emphasize again that we have, we're well on our way to providing a safe place for 8th of August preparation, and not just the 8th of August, but we're well on our way to making sure that that area of town is safe all the time. So,
Yeah,
We have
we've had an initial meeting, and there will be more meetings to come, and that's very important to this commission. That 150-year-old celebration, or however old it is safe, for the entire community, so. Okey dokey. We do have an executive session tonight. We do not intend to take any action coming out, and I would invite the city clerk to please read the motion.
A proposed motion of the Board of Commissioners to go into closed session for discussion of matters pertaining to the following topics: future sale or acquisition of a specific parcel of real estate as permitted by KRS 61.810, subsection 1B. Proposed or pending litigation is permitted by KRS 61.810, subsection 1C, and a specific proposal by a business entity where public discussion of the subject matter would jeopardize the location, retention, expansion, or upgrading of a business entity as permitted by KRS 61.810, subsection 1G.
So moved.
second.
Call roll.
Commissioner Henderson?
Aye.
Commissioner Smith?
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Bray?
Aye.
Thank you all.